when you're doing all this starting strength stuff, when do you do a deload, or do you think deloads just happen?
No, I think there's definitely times to do a deload. Do you have a specific reason you're asking this?
Well, you took the time off. We were talking about the 12 episodes of the podcast. And I just thought, oh, is next week deload week? But I was like, no, I'm not sure. When do you do a deload week?
Yeah. So, I mean, in general, I learned this the hard way. If you compete and you peak and you max and you do a powerlifting meet and you literally do 1 rep max is like, deadlifts that take 12 seconds, really heavy squats, maybe fail a squat.
Yeah.
Fail some benches. I used to come back and try to train really hard the next week, and I tweak my back a lot doing that. So I kind of learned that the hard way. So, I mean, I think the problem is that for most people, deloads are never needed because they never get to the point where they actually need one, right? Because natural deloads happen.
Yeah.
Marine Corps training, even for someone that takes their training as seriously as me, comes in and you miss a week. I don't know, some family event that you're gone for 4 days and you're like, hey, I could go train, but I'm with my, like, whatever. They usually
had a fever last week for 3 days.
There you go. So they usually just kind of happen. But in a perfect world where everyone's consistent and they train 3 times a week, deload's needed. And it's probably usually after a testing. I like to ramp people up, test, and then I call it a recovery week. Like, hey, we're still going to go to the gym. We're going to keep the habit. We're going to do stuff, but it's going to be much lighter. And so that might be like, hey, 3 sets of 5 squats on day 1 at 65%. Deadlifts, 3 sets of 5 at 65% on Wednesday. Some pressing in the 70s and benching in the 70s. And you do that just to like, hey, I'm fatigued. I know I need to recover, but I still need to go to the gym. And then the next week you get right back into it. And it's not a crazy reduction in weight, but there's definitely a reduction in weight because you're starting a new cycle. You're starting a new, a new program that you want to run up and do. So yeah, I mean, I think every 2 to 3 months, if you're training real consistently, you need to have a week where you just kind of like give yourself a break a little bit. And you're still training, but it's just not quite as intense.
That was good.
Yeah.
That answered my question. That was good.
Yeah, there you go. Question answered. But like for you coming off a fever's tough because sickness is stressful in other ways.
Yeah.
So like if you actually have a fever, takes a toll on the body. And so that's where it's just like, hey, come back into the gym. Don't look at your logbook. You know what hard feels like.
Yep.
And go up like, hey, I mean, what's your top squat? 430?
No. 375.
375. For single?
For single.
Your deadlift's 465.
455. At the Arnold.
Okay. Yeah. At the Arnold. So 375. So yeah, 315 5x5 is like up there for you on a 5x5 day.
Yeah, that's challenging.
Yeah, like you've done it though.
I've done 325.
Yeah, got it. So for like with those numbers, 375 max, 315 5x5. If I'm coming back after a fever, I'm just kind of being like, okay, 375 is my best. I've done this like 275, 3x5. Like, it's not going to be easy.
No,
but
I'm not worried about that.
You're not worried about it. Yeah. So like say I did 355 and a lot of this is like mental numbers and it's like, well, this will be easy. And it wasn't easy. I watched it looked fast, but it felt hard because you're like, I haven't squatted in 7 days or 8 days or however long. I think I squatted this Sunday before. So it had actually been 8 days since I squatted. So like your knees feel funky, everything's kind of out of whack, but
I did the opposite of what you're supposed to do. I think on Friday, that was the day after I recovered from my fever. I was supposed to deadlift and I was like, dude, I got to try to go to the gym. Grant's going to make fun of me. This is terrible.
I'm not going to make fun of you. I'm just going to ask you, did you lift? And you're going to feel guilty.
It's the same thing. That's how I spin it. But I think you had me programmed to deadlift 445, I think for a single and then back down. Yeah. And I was like,
ain't no way.
I can try, but there ain't no way. And so I did 405 and I was like, all right, it went. We'll see how it goes though. Let me just do one more warm up before I try that. Yeah. And I did 425 and that was like one of the slowest deadlifts I've ever done.
But you got 425?
I got 425.
Okay. Did you post it and I was just in the field?
No, I didn't even post it. I was like, don't look at this. No one needs to see this.
Yeah.
But I was funny because I looked at my Arnold video, 455.
Yeah.
And I compared it to my 425, and the 425 was way slower.
Yeah.
Way slower. But I did think I had a fever for 3 days. I lost like 6-7 pounds.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of just dehydration, right? I need a lot of milk now. And the day after, I was able to just go pull 425 off the ground. And that's not like records, but I was like,
sure.
Hey, 3 days of a fever, feeling like
great
crap.
It's always increasing the baseline.
Yeah,
right? It's always increasing the bottom number, like the top number. You know, what's my top deadlift? 575.
Mm-hmm.
It's never about like, I mean, yes, it's about like, hey, I want to deadlift 580, but it's about like, hey, I can kind of go into the gym any day now and deadlift 500. And that baseline has come up.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, it's almost being better on your worst days.